In today's video, we're going to be talking about something very weird, something I've actually noticed in regards to Final Fantasy, something I've actually noticed in regards to like the characters we love, the characters we love to talk about, the characters I wouldn't say aspire to be per se, but the characters we actually look up to in some capacity. I'm not saying any of these characters I'm talking about would be like a virtual dads or whatever, but there is a resemblance and there is a common factor and a common denominator between every single Final Fantasy protagonist or every single Final Fantasy mainline character. And that has to do with trauma, and why I think trauma has been one of these plot points that have helped a game like Final Fantasy become as big as it has today, and why so many people actually relate to the stories of each single character in every single mainline Final Fantasy game within the franchise. Men and women of culture, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Senzu, back at it again, back with another video. Do make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching these videos. Like I said, Final Fantasy February, Final Fantasy month. I'm keeping to the theme. I'm keeping to the what I said I was going to do. And now, without further ado, let's hop back into the video. So, FF16, right? FF16 is a game that came out last year. A game that everyone was looking forward to play. A game that everyone was like, "Oh my god, look at the graphics! Oh my god, look at the graphics! Look at the gameplay mechanics! This looks like a DMC." Even though, yes, it was made by the same guy. It was made by the same combat director from Capcom who made the Devil May Cry games. A lot of people consider FF16 to be a flop. Some people consider FF16 to be a very good game. I think I fall in the latter, where I'm like, I enjoyed FF16 for what it was. Granted, it is a Final Fantasy game, and I get there is that connotation when it comes to you having a Final Fantasy game. It has to be an RPG, it has to be fantasy based, not necessarily fantasy based per se, but it has to be an RPG, which is like the main factor of Final Fantasy game. And a lot of people felt that this fell flat because it wasn't an RPG. The combat was streamlined, it was a straight up action game. It was a straight up hack and slash, which makes more sense because the Capcom director for combat in DMC was spearheading this game. And for what it was and for what it was worth, I enjoyed the combat of this game. I actually enjoyed this game to begin with. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the narrative. I enjoyed so many things about this game that so many people have a problem with, so many people have an issue with. Like, for example, people don't like Clive as a character. I think Clive is one of the badass. Clive might probably be my top 3 best protagonists in Final Fantasy. Close to Zack Fair and very close to Cloud. Now, here's the thing with Clive as a character and why I find Clive very believable, why I find Clive very relatable. Now, granted, I'm not from a wealthy family. Granted, I'm not from a royal family. Granted, none of my family members have betrayed me or tried to kill me like someone's mom. But, like I said, granted. But there is something we can tell from Clive's story and why it's so very similar to someone like Cloud. Now, I'm going to have spoilers in this video. There are going to be a couple of spoilers in regards to Final Fantasy 16 story and the original story for Final Fantasy 7. Not the remake, the original story. If you aren't fine with that, you can leave the video and yeah, see you in the next one. But if you're still here, that means you probably played both or you really don't give a fuck anymore, so you're just trying to watch this video and support your boy. But trauma has always been the central factor for Final Fantasy protagonists. Trauma has always served as a plot development mechanism used to move the story forward. Used to make these characters, this seemingly godly, almost perfect, unbeatable characters and make them more humanly, make them look more relatable, because we all deal with trauma in some way or some capacity. We all deal with trauma with everything we've gone through. We've all lost people close to us. We've all lost people dear to our hearts. We've all lost some form of relationship. Either we've been heartbroken or we've lost our family from one form of disease or another. We're all dealing with trauma at some point. And that's what makes these characters so believable. That's why people love Clive. That's why I love Clive Rossfield. That's why I love Cloud Strife. Even though, yes, his name is Strife, which is like a double entendre because everything he deals with is strife. But the whole point of Final Fantasy characters, the reason why we enjoy the protagonists, the reason why we root for the protagonists when they're going up against these otherworldly beings like Sephiroth, Ultima. We're seeing characters who are going through the thick of it, who are going through hell to make things work. We're seeing characters who are going through so much shit thrown at them that you're like, fuck, if this was me, I would have given up. If this was me, I would have literally pushed everything to the side and probably jumped off the cliff. Not saying I will, mind you, but a lot of people wouldn't be able to comprehend or deal with the things that they're dealing with. Even if a lot of these characters are, like I said, otherworldly beings with otherworldly power, we still strive, and I think that's a human thing, right? I think it's a human thing for us to really root for the underdog. Like, I don't know if anyone here is a basketball fan or whatever. It's like rooting for a team like Memphis with Ja Morant's going up against juggernauts like maybe Golden State Warriors back in the heydays. We like the underdogs. We like stories that touch the hearts. I won't say we like trauma because we're all dealing with trauma in some capacity, but we do appreciate when someone is able to overcome their trauma and become the best version of themselves, because that reminds us to be the best version of ourselves. This is the Final Fantasy game, but I think this is the Final Fantasy game true and true. It's a Final Fantasy game that speaks to all the cues, the bells and whistles, all the themes that every single Final Fantasy game covers. So when people say Final Fantasy 16 isn't a Final Fantasy game, there are just so many things I could bring up. Yes, the combat isn't similar to an RPG because it's not an RPG. It's an action-based game. Flat out, it's a hack and slash, literally. But as a Final Fantasy game, it is true to its name. It is true to what it stands for. Yoshi P has done a phenomenal job, and this isn't me sucking off anyone's cock, pause. But it's a Final Fantasy game true and true. Clive Rossfield is a Final Fantasy character, and he's a damn good Final Fantasy main protagonist. Cloud Strife, incredible. And we're going to see more about Cloud in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I really didn't even go into why there's a lot of trauma being dealt with by Cloud, especially if I want to go into the story of how Cloud isn't actually the Cloud that we know, because the Cloud that we know is trying to be like Zack Fair, and because he's dealing with trauma from Zack Fair being killed by Sephiroth, and he's trying to deal with him being powerless when Zack Fair, that I could go on and on and on and on about this. But at the end of the day, trauma is something we deal with. Trauma is something that everyone as a human being deals with. And I think that's why we truly appreciate this character. I think that's why a character that's so broken, a character that's gone through hell, a character that's gone through bullshit, and still able to come back and be the best version of themselves, striving for greatness, striving for equality. That's why we love these characters. And that's why Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be a phenomenal game. And that's why Final Fantasy 16 is a great Final Fantasy game. Do make sure to leave in the comment section down below what you guys think about this. You know, how have games helped you with dealing with trauma? How have games helped you with just becoming the best version of yourself? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video. I hope to hear from you guys soon. I hope to see all your comments in the comment section because, you know, let's connect. Let's become the best versions of ourselves this year in 2024.